what I gave to you. You gave your heart, I gave the back of my mind. You tell me to be, but I only do. I always seek, but never seem to find. And the thoughts and the lies, like the tears that fill my eyes, to my heart no longer see. And you tell me just what I need, that you love me, that you love me, that you love me. Since I was a boy, this is all I've known. Am I good, or am I good enough? Will I end up alone? Oh, can I earn your love? 'Cause the thoughts and the lies, like the tears that fill my eyes, to my heart no longer sees. But then you give me just what I need. You love me, you love me, you love me. The thoughts and the lies are like the tears that fill my eyes, till my heart no longer sees. Oh, then you give me just what I need. You love me, you love me.
What's up, everybody? Now that we're all chilled out and in the Zen zone, let's do a podcast. Hey, I hope you're doing well. I'm glad you're here. A lot of familiar faces. I know I'm a few minutes late. I thought y'all might like to hear that. I was working on that mix this morning. And now let's get on to the good stuff. I need intro ideas. So, if you know the routine, what am I doing for an intro today? Let's make it a quicker one. Because I like to get to your questions. I got a lot of stuff I'd like to get to today, but I want to spend a good chunk of time with you answering your questions. I did not know about the new Studio One update, but that mix undo thing does seem pretty interesting. Because accidentally moving a fader and then not being able to backwards hand claps. Backwards hand clap. So like clap, 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 clap. Ask Joe. That's it. All right, here we go. We're going to record that. Here we go. I don't know if that'll... I probably clipped everything too. That's pretty cool. How do I solve this problem? Let's undo that. Ask Joe. Okay, so we're gonna. Oh, what's the best way to do this? Actually, best way to do it would be to do it to a beat. So let's get a click going. All right, so the click would be dun 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 dun. Oh, y'all can't even see the screen. Sorry. There we go. We'll just use this one. We'll make this one our test subject. All right. All right, so now we have that. But let's make it smaller. I'm sorry, I'm not really explaining what I'm doing, but who cares? It's silliness. Anyway. Wah, wah, wah. That was the wrong beat. Dun, 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 dun. Here we go. That's it. Dun, dun. Let's see. So, dun, 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 dun. So do that same beat again. Go over that. Here we go. One more. Good one, Simon. You're the best. Here we go. Let's put that on the track. All right, let me start the video recording because I didn't have that going. Good. Ben Holmes is here. What's up, Ben Holmes? Ben Holmes has released 2 singles recently, and the guitar player on those is just delightful. By the way, everybody say hi to Gilder Cam. I'll get you on there. Say hi, Gilder Cam. With the big delay, here it comes. It's going to be like a minute. I'm just going to hold my arms out. There they are. That's hilarious. All right, that is definitely going on. Gilder Cam, don't let me. If I don't do it, hold me to it. Sometimes I skip over stuff because there's so much I recorded on a given day. Can you believe? So, fun fact, and then we'll get into it. Let me turn this back on. So that Rode mic that I use on top of the camera, it uses a 9-volt battery. That thing has lasted 25 episodes until it finally went out. That's insane. Anyway, I thought it was insane. Here we go. Let's do the episode. If you are new, I'm going to do a little talk, and then we're going to answer questions. I may not even do a talk. We'll see. I need an idea for a talk. Give me topics on something I can rant about. And it's got to be quick because we're getting into the intro. Let me record the intro while you're thinking. Here we go. Ask Joe. Oh, yeah, that's funny. Here's what we're going to do. Let's try it again. Let's do, let's move everybody over. Sorry, I'm a little flustered today. My wife and I were having this like in-depth conversation about some fun stuff, and then I was stopped and said, "Oh, I've got to go do the podcast." All right, so now we bring these over. This is Ask Joe. That's so stupid. It's so stupid, and I love it. All right, I haven't looked at your topics yet. I'm going to hit record, and by the time I have to talk for the intro, Ask Joe. This is going to be great. All right, here we go. Let's do this. This is Ask Joe. Hello, and welcome to the Home Studio Corner podcast, also known as Ask Joe. Hashtag Ask Joe Gilder. That's a little too long. Anyway, hope you're doing well. Glad you're here. Got a good crew here live for the live stream. I say it every week. Tuesdays, 1 p.m. Central Time. Come hang out on the live YouTube stream. It is delightful. I promise. There's some cool people that hang out here, other than me. So that's fun. What else? My EP. As of this week, my EP will be done and uploaded to the interwebs for release on June 1st, 2017. So if you're listening to this way in the future, there's an EP coming out. I don't know what that's going to be called yet. It doesn't have a name yet, but it's the second EP of 4 that I'm releasing this year, and it's going to be fun. Which leads me to my topic of discussion today, before we dive into your questions. Creative pressure. Thanks to Johnny Lipsham for suggesting that topic. I think it's great, especially given that I am finishing up my EP this week, an EP that I began earlier this month. It is a 5-song EP, started with 7 or 8 songs, whittled it down to 5, and I think it's going to be really fun. It's an acoustic EP, so it's all acoustic guitar and vocals and percussion. That's it. And some of the songs are fun. Some of the songs are, several of them are a little more slower, introspective, and that type of thing. Hey, Sony Music India, please stop saying favorite EDM song over and over in the chat. That's not cool. I might have to block you if you keep going. Okay, sorry. Okay, so creative, what would you say, Johnny? You called it creative pressure? Under pressure. Anyway, creative pressure. The reason I do think, so for example, I'm releasing 4 EPs this year. I've talked about that already. I released one March 1st, this one will be June 1st, and then 2 more spread out evenly over the next 6 months. And the idea is I am a musician and I need to be creating music. And as stupid simple as that sounds, it's easy to not do. I run into people all the time, especially in the home studio corner world, people who are passionate about music, but for whatever reason just aren't actually making any. And it's a shame. So it's kind of a twofold thing. A, I want to make more music because ultimately I want to play a show at the Ryman, and I need lots of music, good music to do that. I need music to get new fans. I need to be making music to become better at making music, all that kind of stuff. But the other reason is, since I have this audience with Home Studio Corner of like-minded musicians, I want to lead the charge, if that makes sense. I'm not just an engineer doing audio engineering tutorials. I'm a musician first who is making his own music. And if I'm not doing that, I don't feel like I have any leg to stand on when talking to you about making your music. So in a way, I'm trying to lead the way and make music so that you can see, okay, he's doing it, I can do it. If that idiot can do it, talking about me, then surely I can do it too. And you, I give you my blessing to call me an idiot. So why would I? So you say release music, sure, that's great, but why would I do this crazy challenge of releasing it in a month and doing 4 of them a year? Isn't that just putting too much pressure and forcing you to just create bad art? See, there's this fallacy that if you back yourself into a corner, the only result is bad music. So if I put myself in a place to have to really produce, that I'm gonna do bad music. And it's just not true. There's that could happen, but people talk about it like it's a guaranteed thing to happen, that you have to just let the music come to you. You can't force it. You have to just be all zen, and suddenly good music will come pouring out of you. How many of you have gone to see your favorite band, and on stage when that guitar player has to play that killer guitar solo, and there's a pressure to get it right because it's live and maybe it's going to video and all this other stuff? Does that pressure make him worse or better? It makes him better because he's put in the work to be good already, and he's put himself in that situation 1,000 times to where now it's a good pressure that just forces him to perform versus something that causes him to shut down and just be awful. Does that make sense? So creative pressure, you don't have to copy me. I don't want you to go do 4 EPs this year just because I'm doing it. But think about what is it that you can do that puts some pressure on you, that kind of lights a fire under you to do something you've been wanting to do and meaning to do and intending to do for months, even years. That's the question I want you to have. That's the conversation I want you to have in your own head and see what comes out the other side. Because the only reason you're listening to this is because you have some interest in creating and making music, whether it's your own music or whether it's finding people to help you make music or finding artists that you can serve and help them release their music. There's just no reason to not be creating. So if you find yourself and you look up and you say, man, I haven't created anything in a long time, remedy that. It doesn't have to be a huge 15-song album. It could be a single song, acoustic guitar, vocal, something just to get the wheels moving and to get that momentum going, and then just keep going, keep going, keep going. I see that Gary Fox is here on the live chat. Gary does the RPM challenge. I don't know if you do it every year, Gary, but he did one in February of this year where they give themselves a month to write and record a 10-song album. And I know because I just listened to the entire thing. He hired me to critique his mixes and get back to him. And I will tell you, because you could not, if you had sent me this album and just said, hey, Joe, you need to listen to this and give me a critique, I would have critiqued it the same. Whether he did it in a month or in 10 years is irrelevant because it sounds really good. He did a good job on the music, and the amount of time spent is almost irrelevant. But it's super cool for Gary because now he has an album, and he really just had to give a month of his life to recording it. And to me, that's super cool. So pressure, a lot of people don't want pressure. They don't want stress, but don't you kind of want pressure and stress, especially if you're a performer? Doesn't a part of you want to perform in front of tens of thousands of people, even though you know it would be stressful, but you also know that you would love it? That's what I'm getting at. Yeah, you could try to produce a song and it could suck, but it could also be awesome. And isn't that worth the trade-off? Isn't it worth the risk? I think so. Okay, rant over. Let's get into yo questions. Boom. My apologies to all the live streamers. I had the volume up way too loud, and that might have just knocked your face off. Please forgive me for that transition being so loud. Okay, I want to jump into your questions. I see a lot of cool questions in the chat. I think there were some questions on Facebook. Yes, there were a couple. Let me answer those, and we will just jump on in. Ben Holmes says, when writing songs, do you have any tips for forcing yourself to use different chord progressions or techniques for learning new ones? It depends on where you are. I'm always looking for new and better ways to write a song. And so whenever I play guitar, I'm trying to play something I haven't played before. That's hard to do because I've played a lot of songs and I've written a lot of songs. So it comes down to something interesting. It might just be an inversion of a chord. It might be just literally playing around with different voicings until something strikes me as interesting, and then I work my way back from there. It's not a matter of... I used to be, I didn't know music theory well enough, so I would just play a chord and then play another random chord and hunt and peck until I found something that worked. that's fine. You can do that. For me, knowing kind of having a good grasp of music theory and knowing what the quote unquote proper things to do in a particular key are, and then also finding ways to get around that and to move from that, that to me gets really interesting. So you'll hear this in my song. Sometimes I'll do like a key change just for a bridge and then resolve back to the original key. It's different. It's unexpected. It's things like that that I think make the song interesting for me. So first and foremost, I need to like the song. I need to listen and enjoy it and want to play it and want to work on it and listen to it. If I don't, then there's no point. It's got to be something I'm into. If I'm bored by that chord progression because I've heard it 1,000 times, I'm not going to write a song. I'm going to move on and try to get something that I'm not bored by, if that makes sense. Joe Birchley says, I've heard some of your acoustic tracks that you've been using as backing music for Gilder Cam, and they sound great. As hard as I try, I cannot get my acoustic guitars to sound as crisp and like they are in your face as yours. Many people with similar YouTube channels to yourself preach that the radio-ready, quote-unquote, sound doesn't come from the gear, but from the recording technique and knowing your tools. How do you get your acoustic tracks to sound so good? I understand it's a wide area, but are there certain techniques you employ to get the strings to bounce out of the speakers? Joe, this is a great question, and it's one that the only real way to answer this would be for you to come, or for me to come to the best way to answer this would be for me to come to your studio, sit down, hear what your guitar sounds like, hear what your playing sounds like, and then hear what your recording sounds like. Because those are the variables. My guitars, this is going to sound super arrogant, but it's the truth. My guitars sound good because I'm a really good guitar player, and I also play really good guitars. So all the guitars on this upcoming EP, it is 100% my Gibson J45. As much as I wrestle with that thing to stay in tune, it is a fantastic sounding guitar, especially in the studio. It sounds great. Combine that with I'm a good player, and I've been playing for, 20 years. I don't know. That makes me feel old. Been playing a really long time. And then combine that with I also have good microphones and good preamps and good mic placement and a decent quiet sounding room. All of that goes into it. So I'm one of those YouTubers who talks about it's more about the technique than the gear, but I take it a step further. It's not so much, I don't think technique is all that important. Like, you need to know the basic techniques of recording and the basic principles, which is what I'm going to cover in my upcoming Intro to Recording course. Check it out. That was a great commercial. So you need to know the basics of that stuff, but you've got to understand that that's the small part. The big part is capturing something great that's happening, right? If there's something great happening in the room that sounds amazing, you just have to slap a mic in front of it and capture that. You don't have to there's no magic technique. It's not like you're in my guitars in the room sound exactly the same, but somehow I'm able to capture it better than you. Pretty sure that's not the case. I'm pretty sure if you came to my studio and I sat down and you set up microphones, you would land on a sound pretty similar to mine because I'm the one playing guitar and it's going to sound like me. Now, granted, there are lots of places to place that microphone that will give you different results, and I have honed that over years and years of recording acoustic guitars. I found the 2 to 3 spots that I like to put the microphone that work really well. The latest for me is using an XY pattern. I know, stereo, I usually don't talk about that. Using an XY pattern, and on that J45, it goes against all the rules, but I have it, if this is the XY pattern, I have it pointing right at the sound hole, which sounds bad. So it means this mic is pointing above the sound hole, but this mic is pointing below, and it gives me this ridiculously balanced and full sound. If you were here early for the live chat, you heard me playing a song from the upcoming EP that's just a fingerstyle acoustic guitar and vocals. That's how I recorded it. It sounds big and full and awesome. So I don't know if that answers your question, Joe. It's probably not quite the answer you want, but I think it's the right answer. So anyway, and yes, I would love to go do location recordings. I think that's the next thing I want to do more of is people hire me to come into your studio and help you get good sounds, because I could do a course or like a workshop here in Nashville, and we could set up in a great room with great players and great gear, and we'd get great sounds. And that's something. That's good, and that's valuable, and I do that kind of thing. But I think also it'd be super cool to go to someone's place and then use your gear and your musicians and get good recordings and figure out a way to make that work. Because there is a level of technique there that you just can't quite get across. Okay, quick Quick announcement. Those of you in the chat, I'm looking at you, Sony Music India. Just ask your question once. If you keep asking it over and over, it bogs down the chat. You got to just chill a little bit. Simon says, Joe, as soon as I said that, another one came through. Joe, you should do that and document it, kind of like Gilder Cam. Oh, like going to someone's place? Yes, whatever I do will be on Gilder Cam for sure. Isaac says, oh, he's just being nice and flattering me. I won't read that because I'm humble. When recording acoustic guitar, do you need acoustic treatment or is the middle of the room better? I tend to record just with a couple of gobos around me to give it just a nice dead sound. But anyway, that's typically good. I don't like to have any room sound in my acoustic guitars mostly. Especially now that I'm in this room, I've got the wood wall behind me now. This room is really live. I don't do a lot of recording in here now. Mostly it's in there in the dead room. Johnny Fuller had a dream that I came to his studio and did exactly what I was talking about. Huh, you dreaming about me, Johnny. That's a new level of awesome. Eric Schumann, do you play others' tunes to learn their progressions to create a similar one? So listen to other people's music and then copy their chord progressions? I do some. I don't so much copy. I don't listen with the intent of copying chord progressions. I can hear, the way my brain works, I can hear a song and I know what chords they're playing. I may not know the exact key they're in, but I know they're playing the 1 and then the 4 and then the 6 and then the 2 minor and then the 5. Like I can hear that and just kind of, and so I'm making mental notes all the time whenever I'm listening to anything. What was that chord progression? Oh, interesting. Oh, that's cool. Oh, I didn't realize that's what that chord progression was. So in a sense, I'm always doing it no matter what music I'm listening to, which can ruin listening to music sometimes. What's the best way to send a song idea from Studio One to a band member to work on songwriting ideas? Does it have to be mastered first? Just export it. Just like you would send any other song to any other person in any other scenario, just bounce it out. And yes, I would put a limiter on the end just to get the volume up so that it's not super, super quiet and they can turn it up and hear everything okay. Jonathan says, what type of tips do you have for taking full band arrangements and making them translate acoustically? You need an acoustic guitar player who's good, and then just kind of turn them loose. So for me, acoustic guitar is my first instrument. Well, I guess piano was, but it's my main, it's my go-to, the thing I'm most comfortable playing. And so I love taking songs and then making acoustic versions of them. The song Mission, for example, we use that on Mixed Together. You've probably heard it 1,000 times. It's a rock and roll song, but it starts off with that electric riff, but it's really cool to change it to acoustic and to play that riff, but you have to play it differently. And it's a really fun song to play when I do like Writers' Nights. I play that acoustic. It's way different than the full band version, but it's fun. So I think it's just a matter of finding a way to play it that makes it work on acoustic guitar and just trying a lot of things. If you want practice, you could try to do covers of heavy songs with acoustic guitar and just, instead of trying to copy it exactly, try to find a new way of playing it that's interesting on acoustic, and then just do that over and over again, you'll start to get good at it. If you can't travel, have people GoPro their setup of mics, and you critique that. Well, yeah, that could work. It's not really so much, I don't need to know what your mics are. I guess that doesn't sound as fun as sitting there and hearing. The thing is, I can never hear what it sounds like in the room unless I'm in the room. You know what I mean? You can kind of fake it, but I don't know. Joe, do you find your mixes sound different with the new wall? I haven't mixed enough in here since putting up the wall to know yet. But honestly, in the last few years, I've gotten in the habit of doing a fair amount of mixing on my headphones, or at least checking it towards the end of the mix, just to make sure my room isn't being a jerk. So, to be determined. I don't know yet. Why don't you do a video about how you use screen capture software and doing all that? I could. That's just not. I talk about music, and so I could do it. Actually, I did do one for my VIP members about that. So there you go. Done it. Brett says, hey, Joe, for your upcoming intro to recording class, who would you recommend this class to? Someone just starting or someone just maybe wanting to fill in the gaps in their recording knowledge? Brett, that's exactly the way I worded it. I think it's for both, of course. It's definitely going to be for someone starting out, but it's also if you feel like you're missing some gaps, I think it would be good for you as well. Now, I know I'm completely biased, but the idea is it's not today we're going to learn about what sample rate is, and we're going to do a mathematical problem to decide. I don't care about all that. We'll talk about it just in the context of here's what you need to know to make good music. If that makes sense. Oh, yeah, my new fan is right there. You just can't see it in this shot. How would you mic an old archtop guitar with F holes and no preamp pickup? I would stick a mic in front of it and see what it sounds like. And then I would move the mic until it sounds like I want it to sound. Or I'd change the mic if the mic isn't working. What are your favorite strings for recording acoustic guitar? I've been a medium string guy for a long time, but I just recently got lights just because they had the 10-pack that I wanted, and they're fine. Yeah, they're easier to play, which I like when I'm doing a marathon session and playing all day. It's nice to not have my fingers completely die on me. Will Paxton's here says, have you ever XY mic'd with a large diaphragm and a small diaphragm? If so or not, how would you go about doing so? The size of the mic doesn't matter. It's a little more awkward because they're not the same shape, but it really doesn't matter. Just do it. Set it up. Go. Just make the levels balanced and go to town. Would you consider releasing that to your non-members? No, but VIP's $10 a month. If you want to check it out for a month and then cancel or get a refund or whatever, you're welcome to. But yeah, that's for VIP members. That's part of how I am able to do things like this free. All the free stuff I do is I do some stuff that people pay for, and that's how I make my income. Bill Rexford says, I have a Dropbox account. How do I use it for music? I'm not sure what you mean by use it for music. You just upload your MP3s there, and then it gives you an option to share the link with people. I mean, I'm not sure what you mean. Use it for music. It's just a file sharing service, so it's not really a music service, but it's what I use to share files back and forth with my clients, if that's what you're asking. All right, let's scroll back up, see any questions I miss. Mark said, do you use multiple reverbs on a song or one reverb bust? Do several reverbs cause any issues? I occasionally use more than one reverb. They're always bust for me, 99% of the time. So my mix template is literally has two reverbs in it, a long plate reverb and a shorter room reverb, and then I just send a track to one or the other depending on what it needs. I don't have any theoretical problems with using multiple reverbs. People like to get some sort of like theory of mixing, and I'm more of, this guitar could use a nice long reverb on it. Send. Ooh, these drums could use a nice room reverb. Send. I don't think, oh no, I've got one going to one reverb and another going to another. That's not consistent. I don't care. Nobody's listening. They're just saying, hey, that's a cool snare sound. And that will include the EQ that you use, the mic placement, the round of reverb that you put on it. They're not listening and saying, oh, you've got this here and that. Whatever sounds good, do it. Best way to master sound designing? I don't know. I don't do sound design. But my guess is practice. Preparation for mixing? I don't understand the question. I record really, really good sounding tracks, and that's how I prepare for mixing. Hey Joe, Zuki from Jerusalem here. First time I've made it live. That's awesome. But been a fan since 2010. That's awesome. You're an old school fan. I'm a keyboard player. Whenever I need a guitarist, I'm forced to play it myself, which isn't ideal. And then you didn't finish your thought. The thing is, you're not forced to play it yourself. You think you are, but I bet somewhere in this planet is someone else who could play guitar better than you, who would play guitar for you, either for money or just for friendship. Or for favors. You're a keyboard player, they're a guitar player. You could each play on each other's stuff. There are lots of ways to find guitar players. I'm sure there are some in Jerusalem. If that's not happening, then here, I bet literally in this chat, you could find someone that you could collaborate with and have something this weekend and not have to play it yourself. I'm not against playing it yourself, but if you're not, you said it's not ideal. And so if you're not good at guitar, either get good at guitar or have someone else play it, because playing it yourself and being bad at it is just a bad idea. At best, you'll end up with mediocre sounds. Kevin Kelly says, any thoughts on what could cause a good-sounding grand piano to sound ragtimey when recorded? Or, for lack of a better term, this happens with multiple pianos and signal chains, so it's probably me. Pianos are hard. The thing about recording something like that is, especially something loud like that, even guitar amps are the same way. You've got to record something and then stop and listen back. Listen back to the recording. Because if you're only listening while the person's playing and you're in the same room, the piano is going to sound amazing because it's a big, loud thing, just like a big, loud guitar amp. If you're only really listening through headphones and there's an amp blaring 5 feet away from you, it's going to sound very different than what the actual recording sounds like. Instead, you should record something, stop, and then listen through your nice speakers, nice headphones, whatever you have. Does that sound good? If it doesn't, then you repeat the process and you go place the microphones in a different place. My guess is you just got them in a place that's just picking up a lot of mid-range and not picking up the full sound of the instrument. I would love to do a recording piano course at some point. I just don't do it enough. I just end up using samples. Boom. No one's going to mention the 3.5 update that Studio One launched today. I heard about it just in this chat. See, here's the thing. I think updates are great, and I will update eventually, and I will check it out. I won't read the release notes because I update when I can, and then I notice if things are different. I think too many people want to focus on the new updates and not on making music. I said it. Meaning, I don't notice the updates because I'm working. And like I'll update it when I get a chance, but I'm working. And what I've got's working. If they add features that make my life better, great, but my life is good now before I had those features, so I'm not waiting around for those features. And you know what I mean? Like people want, oh, I need this feature. You don't really need it. Oh, I need to upgrade my DAW. You don't really need to upgrade your DAW. I'm just saying. People are getting mad at me. Oh, you know you love me. How do I get a full-sounding electric guitar recording without buzzing coming through my amp? Well, in my opinion, buzzing is what makes a good electric guitar recording. I don't know. Like, it depends on the style of music and all that. If it's rock music, buzzy guitar amps are just part of the deal, and I kind of love it. So Uncle Zuki is back talking about he was the one who said I either record the guitar myself or use a virtual instrument like Acoustic Strummer from Native Instruments. What are your thoughts on this? The sound is great, but is it cheating? Here's the difference. Now, I've heard a few of those samples. As an acoustic guitar player, obviously I'm a little offended, like, oh, how dare they try to replace me? But that's technology, and I get that. And if you can make it sound good and it sounds real and it doesn't sound bad, then I'm all for it, right? It's kind of like there is no reason I should... Here's a great example. There's no reason I should be able to put out videos that look as good as my latest ones when I just bought a camera and I use iMovie. I know nothing about video editing. I just kind of stumble along in this super simple software. And I'm sure there are professional filmmakers who turn their nose up at people like me who grab a camera and shoot stuff, edit it together, put some music in there, and it turns out looking pretty good. Because I'm not trained in the art. I haven't studied filmmaking. That's true. But I'm making videos and I like them and I like doing it and I'm having fun and they're turning out well, so I'm going to keep doing that. So if you make music and it sounds like a full band and I listen to it and I say, man, this band is great, mission accomplished. Even if it was all virtual instruments and none of it was played by a human being, if you came up with something that sounds great, that's the deal, right? It's just, for me personally, I love picking up instruments and playing them. I love playing music with other people, so I don't get as much joy out of sitting here with a mouse and programming MIDI and having software create the music for me. But there's nothing wrong with that. I think there's plenty of people who they get a new virtual instrument and it's one of those where a lot of the patches are you just push a button and it makes all these cool sounds, and that they create songs that way. There are people who look down on them and say they're not musicians. I say they are musicians because they still have to pick and choose which of those sounds they're going to play and which ones they're going to play together and how they're going to layer things together. It's still, there's so much creativity involved. This technology has just allowed you to get there quicker in some ways, but you can't get around still needing to be talented and have a good ear for music. Just like any of those filmmakers are not threatened by me because I still don't have their eye for film, and I still don't have their knack for storytelling. I'll get better at it because I want to get better at it, but anyway, rant over. It's a good question though. Does your mixer console have motorized faders? How does it work in your DAW? No, it does not. It is just a mixer, just as if it was a big old Mackie console. It's just a mixer. It just happens to be digital and happens to, instead of using a bunch of cables to go into an audio interface, it just has a FireWire cable that comes in, and that's how I record. It doesn't control my DAW at all. Just a mixer. Just a mixer. Just a mixer. David says, I don't know why so much hate about VST instruments. If I could not play instruments, I would rather have some cool VSTi to enjoy. You know, enjoyment is what it's all about. The problem is when, and I hear a lot of these, people can't play music, and so they get these virtual instruments, and they're trying to write parts for these orchestras, for example, but they have no ear for what the parts need to be. You know what I mean? So they write, and it's technically each instrument sounds good in the sense that the sample is good, but the music is boring, and they don't know how to write music. So that's kind of where a lot of the hate comes from, is people who have these great sounding things, but they're still not good musicians and can't make it sound good. Does that make sense? Like, it sounds technically good, but the song is boring. I had a guy, I've probably told this story before, several years ago. He emailed me a song of his to listen to, and I get a decent amount of emails, so I can't always listen to everybody's stuff. I try to listen to stuff as much as I can, but and I listened to it, and I think he maybe even asked for feedback, and so if you ask for feedback, I try to give something, right? So I listened, I said, hey, it sounds good. I thought this, I can't remember what I said, something like, this piano could be a little more full, it felt kind of thin, and this and this. And then he comes back ridiculously defensive and literally claimed to me that his music was absolutely perfect. It was a perfect piece of music, he said. I don't even know how one could ever claim. And all I remember about it is it was really boring. Really, really boring. It was instrumental to start, and it was just like chords and piano. It was so boring, but to him it was perfect. Why do I tell you this? You can have great tools and still make bad music, maybe? I don't know. And somebody may think he might find other people in the world who think it is indeed the perfect piece of music. Someone who claims that, I kind of say, okay, you're a little disconnected from reality. That's fine. And again, if you enjoy it, and that's great. I'm not here to judge. But when you ask for my feedback, don't get mad at me when I give you feedback. How can I make an 808 style bass line audible on smartphones? You know, there's a lot of tools out there for that. I don't do a lot of 808 style bass lines here. I mean, I have mixed a few. One trick that I try to do is duplicate the track and put distortion on it and then blend that in. So you're not going to hear the bzzz so much as it just adds a little extra upper mid-range that allows you to hear the bass a little more, especially on smaller speakers. I know Waves has a plugin, I think it's Max Bass or R Bass or one of those, that does, like, it generates upper harmonics to allow you to hear bass on smaller speakers. That may be an option. Look at me promoting a Waves plugin. Shame. Ben says, what's your dream electric guitar? A 335? Yeah, I don't think I can get much better than that red 335 over there. I was recording this week, and with just a nice overdrive sound and just switching the pickups and the volume knobs, I can get so many different tones. It's just, I could play it for days, and I should. I should spend an entire day playing that guitar soon. Kenneth says, nothing can replace the soulful spontaneity of a real guitar player. True, but it depends on the style of music too. If it's like an electronic dance music, then there's really no place for a soulful guitar player there. Do you have a solid state drive as opposed to a hard disk drive for your general audio music production? If you use an SSD, what are your thoughts? So here's something interesting. So all my hard drives here in the studio, the one in my iMac, which is my studio computer, and the 3 hard drives I have, one's mostly for video and backup, and the other 2 are for audio. Really, it's just one for audio. They're all just normal, solid, hard disk drives, 7,200 RPM, FireWire USB drives. That's what I've always used, and they work fine. But on my laptop, I've got a MacBook Air. It's a 3-year-old MacBook Air. That thing has a solid state drive inside. And when I'm doing video editing, which I've started doing heavy editing for Gilder Cam. So I'm up, I was up till 1:30 last night editing today's episode. It goes so much faster, video editing on that little laptop. I just bring it all to the internal drive, and it goes so much faster than if I try to edit on my big studio computer. Even though the studio computer has twice as many cores on its processor and has more RAM, it's still that the streaming that video is a lot slower. I think that's the reason. I think it's the solid state versus even if I bring an external drive to my laptop, it's a little bit slower than if I just do it on the internal solid state drive. Graham Cochran was talking about recently that he just upgraded his studio computer to all internal solid state drives and everything's a lot faster. So that really does seem to be, I mean, hard disk drives are pretty old technology. I mean, it's literally a spinning platter, like the same technology we had for vinyl records and CDs, and those aren't really around anymore, but still our hard drives are spinning up. So seems like solid state makes sense. However, they are really expensive. I looked into getting an external solid state, and then I said, nope, not worth it. Also, I don't even save all the raw footage from Gilder Cam because it's like I filled up a 500 gigabyte hard drive in a week, and there's no way I'm going to buy a couple terabyte drives every month just to hold footage I'll never actually go look at again. So maybe that makes me a bad vlogger. Don't care. Simon says, Joe, do you ever go back and go through old sessions? I have a hard drive of years of old work with lots of unused takes and large sessions. Do you have a routine for when you go through your old hard drives, or do you just buy new ones and forget about it? Yeah, when my hard drives get full, I may look for a handful of things I can delete to save space when it comes to music stuff. And I've saved everything, but no, I literally never go back and open them up unless it's for a specific reason, like I need an instrumental version of that song. But I don't. I mean, I've got sessions and an album I recorded once when I lived up in Indiana in the studios at Sweetwater. We never released, I never mixed, I never finished it, and I've got it on a hard drive somewhere. But I doubt I'll ever actually open it up again. Plus, I don't have Pro Tools on this machine, so I can't open up most of them anyway. I always have the idea of I want to save this in case I ever want to go back and look through it. I do that with everything. Like I want to keep my calendar up to date so I can go 10 years from now and look back and see what I was doing today. I've never done that. I've never actually gone back and looked at it. So it's kind of a moot point. Dalen says, do you have experience putting together albums? Where and how do you start? Dalen, I have no idea what you're asking, my friend. You mean like recording in a full album? Yeah, like that's what I do, but I'm not sure what maybe you can give me a more specific question. How do you handle archiving your sessions? I don't do this well. I usually just back them up so I've recently switched to Backblaze, which is like a $5 a month, and it backs up all my hard drives to the cloud. So I back my stuff up to my backup drive when I think about it, but even if I don't, every night at midnight, it gets backed up to the cloud, so I can always get it back if I need it. And that's what I do. Proper file management would mean at the end of a session, when everything's said and done, you go in and remove all the unused files to make it nice and clean. I just don't do it. I do export all the multitracks to all my files, all my songs, but that's only because I've got a product called Mix Practice where my people who own that get all my multitracks to all my music. So that's where I put them. But it's nice to have those multitracks because if PreSonus goes under and there's no more Studio One, I'll still have the multi-track files to my albums, and I can't imagine WAV files being outdated anytime soon. How sore are you from working out? I'm really sore. Like today, my shoulders and my quads are killing me. Yeah, I'm sore. This is like week 4, and I still get. And my buddy who's been doing it for years still gets sore. So maybe that's just my life now. It's cool, though. I'm enjoying it. I'm glad I'm doing it. I've seen videos on parallel compression on whole mixes, but drums. It sounds great. Are there downsides to doing this or problems that can occur? As long as there's not like a phase weirdness when you do it, which just depends on how your system does the routing and the alignment and all that stuff, latency and all that, I think it's fine. Again, if try it. If it sounds good, great. If you hear it make the mix sound a lot thinner, then I would probably stop doing it. Have you ever mixed a project with a big choir? I just did, and the band is leaking in the choir mics. How do you do it to make it better? So if it's a full band project, I haven't done one specifically like that, but if I was mixing it, I would roll off all the lows and mids on the choir, so it's just bright and airy, and then that's it. Because if it's a full band, then you don't need a lot of low end or mid range in those. They're really, I'm guessing, more for background. And in that case, you can get rid of a lot of the lows and the mids and be in good shape. Stian, I did not answer your question about mastering. Hit me up again, but congrats on the gig. He just said he got a call about a double gig with his band this summer. That's why he's been off the chat. That is super cool. Isaac just noticed the change to my studio wall. Good for you. Chris says, I saw a cover video of you playing a Taylor. What model was it? That's my Taylor 314. Love that guitar, but I love the J45 more. Have you ever mixed a project with a big... Oh, sorry. I already answered that question. All right. We're running out of time. My voice is running out of voice. First time to the live show. This is Dave saying, longtime fan. When I try home producing songs with virtual instruments, namely piano, it all sounds thin. Any tips to thicken and add depth? A big part of it, Dave, could be your playing and your performing. You could just not be playing it very well. It could be that you're using really cheap samples. I'm all about getting it right at the source. And if you're using virtual instruments, your source is literally the samples and then the performance. If those aren't good, then no amount of mixing is going to fix that. I think that's it. Yep, that's all the ones I see. Stian says, I need mastering for my May EP challenge songs. You don't have a client work button on the page. How do I go about getting you to master my mixes? You send me an email, and I say, it's this much. And it's not much money. And then you send me the files, and then you win Grammys, and then you thank me from the stage, specifically by name, and you maybe mention Gilder Cam, and then I get 1 million subscribers, and that's how that's going to go. Perfect. All right, you fun bunch. I will stick around a little bit and answer any other questions, but I think we got most of them. Glenn, I saw your email about the forum. I'm sorry I haven't gotten back to you yet. I've been running around all day. You got to log into the forum when you get there. It's the same login as the VIP site, so just click the login button on the top right, and you'll be able to get to it. Are my fees listed? Yeah, actually they are. If you go to homestudiocorner.com/store and then click on services, you can see mix critiques, mixing, mastering, and then like my mix video thing that I do. Currently I'm charging $50 for mastering, $250 for mixing, $30 for critiques, and $350 for a custom mix video where I make a video of me mixing your song, and then you get the video and the mix. You ever mixed or mastered a live full show multi-track recording? I haven't. I've done acoustic stuff, but I've not a full band live thing. I would like to, and honestly, I'd like to put a show together where I'm taking my mixer out and playing full band and then recording it to capture and then doing all that, but all in due time. I would love to, though. Just haven't had the opportunity. Josh Bailey's message was retracted. That reminds me of that episode of The Office where they redact their complaints. Have you thought about doing music videos for your songs? I haven't up until getting this decent camera where the video actually looks halfway decent, and I might do it. I'll probably wait till I've lost a little more weight and actually look less like a fatty McFatterson. Joe's in the mood. What am I in the mood for? I don't even know what you're talking about. Ross Botham. I don't know what you're talking about, Ross Botham. All right, let's get this thing. This is Ask Joe. We should put what is it on there? It's like a slapback delay. Ga. Yeah, we're gonna try that. Let's find that. Analog delay. Set the mix like there. No feedback. What, like 100? Let's make the delay 120 milliseconds. Let's see if that works. No, this is. That's not it. Let's make it. No, to make good music. That makes sense. This is. Never mind. I wonder if a little reverb would be good. You know what? Never mind. I've had too much. Wish I had a slapback delay in my throat. Surprisingly, I don't think I'm going to use slapback on my vocal on this EP because it's so acoustic. But man, that is my go-to. Busted. What was this week's intro? Here you go. It's a reverse clap. Here you go. You can hear it. This is Ask Joe. Waiting on live streaming performances in your studio. Will you make concert-like live stream one? Yes. I will, RJ. I need to plan that soon. I just keep being busy. But yes, I want to do that with a concert window or maybe just with YouTube Live, like we're doing right now. Just have it be music instead of talking. But I absolutely do. Maybe I should do it for release of this EP. That's probably a good idea. Stay on me, RJ. Please don't let me forget that. All of that goes into it. So I'm one of those YouTubers who talks about it's more about the technique than the gear, but it's you'd like to hear those songs together, like just in like a show. Yeah. I mean, I've released so much music and haven't played many shows since releasing these last couple of EPs. Shame on me, but I'm going to get on it. Mostly it's in there in the dead room. You know what? You're right. I didn't record the episode number, but it was a little bit different intro, so I don't think that works. So we'll skip it. We're fine. All right, I'm going to see if I can export this without killing the stream. Ask Joe 204. Yoink. There it goes. I haven't updated Studio One. I hear it's great. Will you get royalty for the clap backwards claps idea? Absolutely. You will get a huge royalty percentage of all the money I make from this episode. I don't make any money from these episodes. I make myself laugh sometimes. All right. Do some music videos. You're probably right. Perhaps I will. The thing is, if I'm going to do it right and hire someone in, it's just it's hard to justify the expense of hiring out video people for something that's not going to make any money. You know what I mean? I know there's brand building and all that, but that's just a tough one. Chris, I did not put the number to the podcast because I'm changing things up. What's your favorite show-off feature of Studio One? I really like the part where you can take a piece of audio that you've sliced up and you can move the audio without moving the edges of the edit. So I can I can slice it on the downbeat, then I can move it back to where it fits in. You write music for a filmmaker and she makes free music videos for that's a pretty cool idea. That is a cool idea. There are probably ways I can do it that don't cost lots of money. I just haven't really. Honestly, I've been overweight for like so many years. I don't want to be on camera. So once I fix that, I might just do a video every day. Well, I guess I do now with Gilder Cam. Dadgummit. What was Dave's question? How do you tackle chord progressions and melodies when you want to write more new and interesting songs? I find myself going back to the same chord progressions. I hate my brain. Learn new songs. Play other people's music. Or maybe the chord progressions you're using are awesome. Could be either one. Doing concept albums. See, I don't know what that means. Most of my albums have some sort of concept to them, but where's Snoopy? I don't know. The dog took him away, and then the kids thought that it belonged to them, and he's gone. I literally don't know. Just saw that slice thing the other day. Never knew I could do that until I saw your video. Yeah, it's super awesome. It was like one of the big reasons that won me over because it doesn't, Studio One doesn't edit like Pro Tools, which was a bad thing until I finally figured out how they meant for it to work, and then I was hooked. Paul, thank you. I'm looking forward to the new course as well. It's going to be super fun. Yeah, it really is. By the way, if you're here and you're interested in my intro to recording course that's coming out, it releases on Monday, or we're going to start the class on Monday, head over to, it's a little bit long of a link. It's understandingrecording.com/intro, and you can sign up, get $10 off this week. And every Monday I'll release new videos, and you can ask questions and all that stuff and help me shape the content of the course, which would be awesome. My favorite feature, is this from Simon, is how easy it is to export multi-tracks by marking them and just drag them to the file window. Yeah, dude, I have never seen anyone talk about that feature until you showed it to me. It is the best. I will give you a royalty on that as well. Yeah, it keeps you from having to bounce down all the tracks and ruin all your fades, which is just a lot of annoying work. I love it. I love it. I don't know how you found out about it, but whoever showed you. I used to have a Snoopy doll. Yes, 100%. A little plush Snoopy that sat up there. And the dog took him away, and then the kids took him, and now I don't know where either are. I know where my kids and my dog are, I just don't know where. Is there an easy way to assign inputs to tracks in Studio One other than doing the drop down? If you can assign multiples at a time if they're all selected. I know you can do that. And then when you're creating tracks, you can have it assign them ascending. But I don't know of any other tricks. I know Pro Tools has a few tricks like that. I don't know if Studio One does. Email me, Glenn. I'll help you figure that out. It could be that if your membership has lapsed, that could be it. If a payment didn't go through or something, that could be what's going on. I'll look it up. How do you use the PreSonus console with recording and everything? I have one. I'm not sure what you mean. I use it for recording. I listen off the board. I use it to make headphone mixes. I don't monitor through Studio One. I monitor through the board. Sam Ashley. I have to keep the dropout protection on. I don't know what y'all talking about. Uncle Zuki, no, it's not cheating. I answered that. If you can listen to the episode when I post it. If it sounds great, great. It does. If I hear something and I think that sounds great, even if it was all virtual instruments, as long as it sounds great, that's kind of the point. But if it doesn't sound good, then we've got a problem. Yeah, sorry, Simon. I can't remember how to let it paste the links there. Your favorite guitar player? Oh, favorite guitar? Is that my Gibson 335 electric and my Gibson J45 acoustic. I have a love-hate relationship with the acoustic because it doesn't stay in tune. Stian, I will keep an eye out for your email, my friend. I got to catch up on email anyway. Is there any way to use Studio One as a looper or a loop pedal? I don't think so. Lyrics to my songs. Ugh. If you get them from Nimbit, where it sells directly, I think they're embedded in the files. You just have to listen real careful and write them down. I know. I need to have a place where I put each song and the lyrics. I just haven't. All right, folks. I'm starting to lose energy. I got to go get some coffee or something. Thank you for hanging out. I will see you on the flippity flip.